It's not that hard. So the abundantly more, I don't have a chart for this. You're going to have to.
We have a chart for you.
We have a chart. We've decided and looked at the needs and what we could do over the next 3 years, and we've put a goal of $350,000 over a 3-year period. Now that sounds like a lot, but we raised 250 with 50 people. We're approximately 3 times that size now. So this is going to be split up in various ways. The first thing we want to concentrate is on missions. We want to increase missions. As Scott said, the goal is to get to 20% eventually. 2021, we were at 4%. 2022, 4%. 2023, this year we're in now, we got up to 7%. This is going to push us up to like 15% and on the way to 20%. This will also be going not just globally, we're going to increase what we give globally, but also we're going to really pour in money into local missions. And you'll hear a little bit more about that. The second part's capital improvements, and 47% is going to make this building what it can be. We got this great building, and we're not using it nearly as much as we can to show who we are to the community, to service the community. And the last part
is mine, not yours.
Well,
you can share the first line, but not the second.
What's the?
Hey, you don't even remember, do you? We didn't rehearse this shtick. That's obvious. Thank you, Henry. Every conventional wisdom says that this third line that you just don't do, you don't add this into a vision initiative, or maybe you're more familiar with the words a capital campaign. We don't like the words capital campaign, so we're using vision initiative. Conventional wisdom says you don't add this in, but there's a special case that we as a church have been faced with. And so if you did the math there, 43 and 47%, which I think is pretty cool, because that's almost half of what's coming in and going to stay here to finish this unfinished building, and then half going out. 10% is to bring back on staff someone part-time, and that would be young Benjamin. You all remember last September, Satan led him. You come up here and face that hot spotlight. Okay, let me rephrase that. If you remember last September, God decided he was going to really humble young Benjamin. And so he took him on a journey where Ben honestly thought at his young age, I've only really worked for the church. I've never tried my hand out into the business world. And we believe that God led him to do that for specific reasons for both Benjamin and from this church. If Benjamin would have never done that, we would have never gotten the Carson family. We would have never gotten Ryan. And so we're so thankful that God did lead him. Well, not that thankful. I'm kidding. So Ben started a new career and was engaging in some things, and at some point, 6, 7, 8 months into that, young Benjamin, if you would come this way a little bit, make sure you're in the camera here. If you would share just briefly a part of what your process was like. He knew he was going to do this.
Definitely. Yeah, so I was trying to think, one of the big reasons I stepped away was for my family, or I thought that was one of the big reasons I stepped away, and it was to learn how to be a husband and a dad apart from ministry. And I thought, man, if I could just be away from ministry, I would be a great dad and a great husband. in one way, yeah, you're laughing. So in one way, though, getting to sit next to my wife and my kids in worship has been, after 6 years getting to do that, I can't explain how cool it was to, I'm just here, and I get to worship. And then that started to some degree to, okay, but I want to go do something. I want to be worshiping and helping facilitate that again. But yeah, so when I went out of church, if I'm talking too much, just tell me to stop.
Briefly.
Okay. Okay. Well, I went into financial advising, which if you know me, you know why. And I ask myself that question now. But I started to get such unrest, and my wife got to see the amount of times I had to repent of, I'm sorry I'm whining about what I'm doing. I don't know how to process hating what I'm doing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I felt so uncomfortable, and so I reached out to Scott and said, hey, what would it look like for me to come back on? I know that could be a ways off. It could be in a part-time capacity, and just feel real blessed that you guys were willing. One of the things I think I've realized in this season out, I didn't really choose to come into ministry. This sounds unreformed. It's the Lord at work, I know, but bear with me. I didn't choose to come on staff at Grace, really. I knew Scott. He asked me to help a few times, and I felt this weight of, okay, I need to go help. And so for 6 years, I served here without really thinking of it as a career or a desire to do this with my life. And so then when I moved out, and I started to wonder, as I hated my job, what are the things that bring me joy, and what are the things that my wife gets to experience that joy with me in? Music and the gospel. And church, I love to be here, to the point that she gets mad because vacations we normally cut short to come back. And yeah, so I asked Scott, this is, in my mind, kind of my first decision as an adult. This is what I want to do with my life, whatever that looks like, serve in the local church.
So one of the things that Ben said to me when we first started having conversations a few months ago was, Ben, tell me what did you learn in that process? And one of the things he said to me was, I thought I always knew this, but I never had the level of conviction that God gave me that I was created to serve the church. I'm not created to serve in the business world, and there's nothing wrong with that, but God uniquely gifted me to serve in the church. So we were faced with the session was faced with a dilemma. We can't afford to bring you back on, hence throwing Ben into part of this vision initiative until either this church doubles in size overnight, which certainly could happen, or at some point Ryan is ready to go plant a church. Ben is going to stay in this part-time position and serve along with us and continue to work part-time for Paul and Karen in their promotional business. And so we're going to share him for a while. He's going to come and start helping lead worship probably half the time as we shift some of Ryan's responsibilities. He's also going to start a ministry to young adults and singles and young married couples. And then he's also going to do this. Matt Birch has so graciously and faithfully served our students over the last several months. And we are so thankful for Matt. Matt, we're gonna formally recognize you on a Sunday morning on a different day with a nice gift, all of Ben's salary. Part of what Ben is going to do, though, is with being married and having 2 children, serving as a youth pastor was really, really difficult. Matt would attest to that. Doing all of the extracurricular activities. But one thing that Ben really, really enjoyed and loved doing was the Wednesday night part, or the Sunday night part. And so Ben is going to start coming every Sunday night to 6:20 and is going to be responsible for leading that night. We're also probably going to be hiring Caleb, my son, part-time, who's already involved in that ministry, to come alongside and help with some of the relational activities. And so Ben is coming on to help with students a little bit, not to do what he used to do, but to be the face of Sunday nights in 620. If you have any questions about that, I know you will, please ask them later, but due to time we need to move on, so thank you. think he turned it off.
Green button means it's on. Yes, so we want to talk just a little bit give you a little bit more detail on each of these three areas. Well, the third area we already covered, but the first one on missions. You want to?
Yes.
Scott is the interim leader of the missions committee, so we're going to go ahead and let him kind of explain this.
So several months ago, we met with the missions team and we let them do the legwork, and they decided how that 43%, that comes out to $150,000 approximately. And so the missions team decided how they wanted to divvy out $50,000 a year for the next 3 years. And so our missions team reached out to our folks, and how many missionaries get to hear this? If we had some extra money to give to you, do you have some projects that you would like to put that money into? And we, over the last couple weeks, thank you so much to Rebecca Singletary and Holly May, who did a lot of work working with our missionaries to come up with some pictures and some stories. But this is what that $50,000 this year is going to go towards.